I got a chance to head to NAMM 2025 this past weekend and nerd out over some pretty awesome gear. Now, there's so much to do and see at NAMM that it would be impossible to cover it all in just a single video. So today I'm gonna be breaking down the best tone I got at NAMM, some awesome pedals, my favorite booth, and why the Line 6 Helix was actually my favorite piece of gear from the show this year. So come along for the journey. I'm going to NAMM for the first time as a content creator who was invited by NAMM. That was a very terrible sentence, but get the idea. It's my first time going and actually being invited. I've always gone as a guest, so we'll see if it's any different this year. I'm anticipating it to be exactly the same, but here we go.
I really want to meet Steven Furtick today. Do you think he's gonna be there?
I'm not sure he's gonna be there.
Be like, Rattle!
I think you should do that. I think he would like it if you just went
I think
up
he
to
would
him.
love it. He'd be like a real fan.
You just like see the pastor.
Rattle!
If you've never been to NAMM, it's kind of like going to a car show for music. There are booths everywhere, musicians everywhere, and just tons of sounds. It's a lot to take in. So let's start with Walrus Audio. The best tone of the day actually came from Walrus Audio. We went over to their booth and they had all their pedals set up in these big, beautiful pedal board arrangements, and it kind of made me miss my pedal board a little bit. Pedal board all the way! I don't think I'm going back anytime soon, but you know, never say never. Walrus Audio might make some of the best looking pedals and also some of the best sounding pedals. Like, I played through a bunch of different things and it was difficult to get a really bad tone. Although I will say the pedal with the chameleon on it is a bit unique. I'm sure there's a use for it, but I don't think I have one yet. Anyway, I ended up getting the super tone by using the Aegis drive, the one with the elephant or woolly mammoth on it, and I ran that into the Mako series MK2 editions of their delay, reverb, and then the ACS1. Honestly, it was like that perfect edge of breakup, ambient, like indie rock, almost worship tone. Like the way the reverb specifically sounded running into the ACS1 was incredible. Like, kind of forgot what it sounds like to get your reverb distorting a little bit from the preamp drive or power amp drive, wherever the drive is coming from on the amp, but like that is a really glorious sound, and it kind of made me want to rewire how I'm doing some of my presets to see if I can chase that tone. I was so into that tone that I actually told my wife, hey, put on the headphones and hear this, and her face lit up immediately and she was like, you gotta show them, this is incredible. And I was like, I honestly didn't do much. It already sounded good. I just turned on those pedals and it happened to beat that sound. Moral of the story, Walrus Audio pedals are awesome. We wandered around and stumbled upon the Vox booth. This booth featured something I hadn't seen before that actually got me pretty excited. The booth that ended up being the most fun for me was actually Vox. They have a new series of mini amps that I think are really, really cool. And no, not those, although those are pretty cool. I couldn't tell you if they sound good or not. I didn't try it out, but they look really cool. It'd be cool to like collect them all and put them on a shelf back here. The mini amps that blew me away were these mini Super Beetles. They're really cool looking. They're, you know, maybe about this big, but then there's like a tall rectangular cab that has a 10-inch speaker in it. And they retail for somewhere around $400 for the head and the cab. Like, it's a really, really good deal. I think this AC4 back here was about $400 itself. A guy at the booth explained to me that these amps use a new technology called new tube, which is still a tube. It's just like a newer version of a tube that's more energy efficient, it lasts longer, it's more reliable, and I guess it's easier on the environment. But I think what guitarists really care about whenever these brands come up with tube replacements is like, I know you're gonna say it sounds and feels just like a tube, but does it actually? So I had him play through it first because I wanted to hear it and see it, and I also was just like, I don't know, I was like a little nervous. I didn't want people to be like, oh, let me hear this kid play. I just started smiling because it did really sound like a classic Vox tube amp, and it seemed really dynamic. It had tons of volume and the effects on it were pretty cool. It's got a trem and a reverb, and that natural grit seemed pretty good coming out of the amp. Like, I was pretty excited about it. can say, at least to me, it really did feel like playing on a tube amp. Now, I don't play on tube amps all the time, so maybe those of you who play on it every day could feel a difference, but it definitely had that like bounce and reaction. The only thing I didn't like about it was that I kind of thought I was done buying amps. Like I was like, I have enough. I don't even play on amps live. Like, why do I need another amp? And now I was sitting there being like, maybe I need another amp. This is the speaker that's in my MX-11 cab at home. And I paid an upgrade fee to get it because I wanted to get as close to like that classic box sound. So I think this speaker sounds way better than this. The green, I know like guitarists love the green because it's really minty, so it cuts through in a mix, but there's something really nice and round about this. And it's also just kind of nice to see speakers, especially when you're like in the modeling world, like these are what the IRs are trying to be. So remember, this is where we started. There are cool pedals and amps all over NAMM, so if you're into those things, which I'm guessing you probably are if you're watching this channel, then you'd have a great time. Let's head over to Strymon next. Obviously, there's the new Big Sky MX, which their engineer so graciously explained to me that it is not just two Big Skies together. They've redone a lot of the algorithms, plus kept all the old classic stuff from the Big Sky, so you're really getting an enhanced Big Sky, and you can do two. That actually wasn't the most impressive thing to me at Strymon. What I really liked, and I know I'm very late to the game on this, is the Cloudburst and Brig pedals. I really like these two little ones. So essentially this is based off the Cloud, which is kind of the only reverb I ever used in the Big Sky. And then this is our Bucket Brigade delay. I love the sounds, obviously, you know, Strymon, anything ambient, they get an A+ on, but what's really appealing to me is the size. If you were looking to build like a quad cortex pedal board and keep it small, these are really awesome because they're really small pedals that pack that huge, lush, ambient Strymon tone. We've been down that rabbit hole. You don't need pedals to make the quad cortex sound good. It sounds just fine on its own. It's just an option. Also, if you're just a classic pedal board person, you're making a compact rig, or maybe you're just making a big pedal board, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. These pedals sound awesome for delay and reverb, so if you're looking for a delay and reverb, definitely worth checking out. I really, really liked them.
I feel like animals. The Muppets, like my hair.
We explored lots of guitars, sounds, and all I can say is there are some pretty awesome guitars out there. I don't need another one, but going to NAMM will really make you think you might need to add to your collection. All right, let's close it out with the last booth from NAMM. The thing that actually impressed me the most at NAMM was the Line 6 Helix. Now, I'm gonna answer the question a lot of you probably have is, did they announce a Helix 2? And the answer is no. I even asked them directly about it and they told me there will be a second one eventually, but not now. And that's pretty much all I got about that. Now, back on the unit, there's nothing super groundbreaking about it that you haven't heard in the past 10 years. It really is a 10-year-old unit. But what I found most impressive was the people behind the unit and the people at the Line 6 booth. I ended up talking to a guy named Paul, who is one of the main demo guys for Line 6, and he was incredibly nice and friendly, and I was telling him I just got a Helix and posted my first video on it on this channel, and I was kind of blown away by how nice the community in the Helix was. And I was telling him, I'm a beginner, I've only been using this a couple weeks now, and I was running into some issues with the DSP and running out of room to get a couple reverbs and stuff on my preset. I think I'm still learning how to maximize the DSP in the Helix. He goes, oh, come with me. So he sat down with me at a Helix and he's like a wizard on that thing, you know, how fast he moves. And he was showing me different tips and tricks for how I can maximize the DSP using different lines and splitting the amps on maybe the top and the bottom. And I thought that was super helpful and kind of him to do. He also took the time to ask about what I do and, you know, a little bit about my background, and I don't know, I just thought that was nice. There was a lot of personal touch about this interaction. Now, outside of the people, if we're gonna just objectively assess this unit, what's really impressive about it to me that I kind of knew from afar but didn't really know the details of is how much time they've invested into upgrading this thing for free. He was telling me when they launched the Helix originally, it had something like 30 amps in it. Now there's like over 100. That's like what, like a quadrupling, I think. It's like 112, 120, I don't know. A lot of amps, and they've added tons of new effects. He said they've changed the sampling process, I think it was, but basically the way the Helix makes sounds and audio now is different than how it did when it first came out, so it sounds much, much better. They changed the cabs, so now they're all IRs, and how that's improved the product. Like, the reason I think the Helix has lasted 10 years is, I mean, one, it's a well-built product, but two, they've changed the hardware internally so much that the Helix today is not the Helix from 10 years ago. Like, you're buying the same unit, but it's just not. The capabilities are expanded, the sound quality is better. Like, they've continued to invest in the platform to keep up with where technology is going. I came back a little later in the day to watch the demo, and the Helix sounded incredible. It really excited me about getting back into the unit and dialing it in and seeing how far I can push it myself. Yeah, I know it might seem a little funny that a 10-year-old unit that didn't launch any game-changing features at NAMM was the most impressive to me, but I think it just really boils down to the culture, learning the history of the unit, and just how much Line 6 cares about growing the platform and the people using the platform. That really spoke volumes to me. And that's a wrap on NAMM 2025. Thank you so much to NAMM for having me. I had a great time and I really appreciated getting to go. If you enjoyed the video today, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll put links to all the gear I talked about today in the description in case you want to check that out. They are affiliate links. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time.